Don't mind me, just repping the Sugar Bowl champs. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know how to do the videos like this just yet. I'm still working on it. But anyway, guys, you're watching Epic Pokemon TCG. In today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about something that I really think Pokemon should implement from other card games. And this is something that I think would actually make product a little better. And on top of that, it'll make it easier for newer players to enter the game if they just want to go to a store and pick up something like from Walmart or something. But that is, they should really start mimicking what other card games do with their starter or theme decks or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to use a couple examples here real quick. Card games like Dragon Ball Super, as I got two decks right here, they include cards in there that are actually really good, that are in a lot of different decks. Like there's the Gogeta deck, for instance, puts a card called I think it is called Dimension Barrier or something like that. Yeah, Dimension Magic. And this is a really, really good counter card that's used in the game. And then the Shenron themed or starter deck actually includes an entire engine that can go with anything. And then when you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! In that game, you can literally go buy 3 of the brand new decks that usually aren't, like character themed, and you have a really good deck, and it usually ends up getting hit on the ban list somehow. I remember the Dinosaur deck was a very, very, very good example. I don't know, as of recently, if that's been like the same case. But I remember, like, basically you go buy 3 of the starter decks and you're good to go. You got a deck that you can play, and then you can kind of add to it. However, if you look at Pokemon, yes, they are starting to get a little better on it. They'll actually include like actual strategies to the deck. But for the most part, when you buy 2 of the decks, you have pretty much everything that you can get in there. Max copy wise. But you don't really have anything that's like great. You don't have like a really good deck. Dragon Ball Super, for example, they include a lot of really good cards in their decks, and it kind of forces you to build or buy 2 of them. For instance, this is the Gogeta deck. You get 2 of this card, which is a really, really good Gogeta, and then you get 2 copies of this Goku and 2 copies of this Vegeta. And these are really good, and they go along with this. And basically, when you use these cards together, you get a really good combination of stuff. And honestly, I think that that's something they should really implement going forward. I think that's something that Pokemon should really do. Like, not necessarily make it to where you only get certain cards in the theme decks, but they should really make it to where they're actually worth your money. Yes, they sometimes include cards like Cynthia and such, but for the most part, I feel like when it really comes to Pokemon, the theme decks aren't necessarily worth the money. Yes, they're cool to have. Yes, they're nice to pick up, and you immediately have a deck. But I feel like they should just try to up them a little bit and make them a little better. Even Star Wars Destiny was a game that you could buy a couple of the starter decks and you had something pretty decent to play already. But honestly, I feel like this is something that they should really take from other card games, because I can't really speak for Magic, but I know for some of the ones that I've seen, the decks are actually really worth the money. I keep moving the camera. I apologize. I really need to work on how I'm going to do this type of video, but I feel like if they just tried to make their decks a little better, then that would really be awesome. Because like when you look at a lot of the decks, it's mostly like the general strategy and then just a bunch of randomness. It's just like a bunch of really random cards that aren't very good, and it's mostly like filler. It's like Bleach. You got some good stuff in there, but at the same time, you've got a whole lot of stuff in there that doesn't matter. And I feel like that this is something that if they did it, it would make the game a little better. It would make it to where you can buy a couple decks, build them, and you'd have something really good to go. I'm actually going to be starting a series where I'm going to be taking theme decks and basically just combining 2 of them, making a deck, and showing newer players how they can enter the game just by buying a couple theme decks. But I've noticed after doing this, it is really, really hard to just get a good deck going. I've really been struggling with a few of my lists online because you're so limited on what you can play. Yes, they do include some staples. Yes, they do include some really nice cards, but for the most part, it's really just like horrendous. For example, again, Dragon Ball Super. You buy 2 decks, you got something pretty good to play with, I think. And as the saying, I just dropped my Gogeta somewhere, my leader Gogeta, so I'm going to sit completely still and hope I don't run him over with my chair, because I don't think my big ass would be good to run over something. But anyway, so basically, it's just an idea that I've had for a long time. I feel like, when it comes to Pokemon and other card games, Pokemon's really lacking in just like the starter deck thing. Yes, I know this game is extremely, extremely, geared towards children, but I feel like if they just made them a little more competitive, it would be great because it would be a lot easier way for people to, one, enter the game and get something somewhat decent right off the bat, and two, if they made the theme decks a little better, I feel like business wise, people would probably buy more of them if they made it worth their money. And lastly, I just feel like all around, it just kind of sucks when you think about it. Like if you go buy a theme deck or something like that, you're pretty much stuck with like and I see these other games where you go buy a couple starter slash theme decks and you've got something pretty good to play with. Whereas Pokemon, it's like, oh my god, you still got to add a ton of stuff into the decks. I feel like maybe they should add something like DCE into the decks. Something like 2 DCEs, for example. In decks that really need that card, or just make sure that they put like I don't know, something other than like How or Looker or just other randomness in there, because I think it's the Garchomp deck that like you've got like Hippowdon and you've got like the Donald Trump Pokemon, and I don't know, that just kind of keeps going on and on. It's just something that I feel like would be really good if they were to do that. And really, honestly, I don't know what else to say other than that. Like, I think it would be good for business, and I think it would be really good for newer players to be able to buy something that they'll actually be able to play with. So, that's just like my 2 cents on it. I feel like the theme decks are really lacking, especially when you compare them to other card games. And I feel like that it would be very easy for them to just kind of up the ante a little bit. Maybe I wouldn't say put a GX in there because I don't know, that just sounds weird to me, putting a GX in a theme deck. But maybe make some stuff that isn't GX and make it really good, and then we can kind of go from there. But I don't know. Maybe Pokemon is just that weird of a game to where you really can't do that necessarily. But I firmly feel like it's something that they could easily do. It again. I can't speak for Magic. I can't speak for other card games, but I feel like when you have all these games that are like their decks are really geared towards like, hey, come play our game, come spend like $20 or something, or like $25, however much it varies. Hey, come buy, or buy 2 of them, come play our game. It'll be easy. So, okay, so for some reason my footage just screwed up at the end. I don't know what happened there. And in case you're wondering why I don't use this light, it is way too bright. That rhymed. Didn't mean to do that. Anyway, so that is pretty much like my intake, like my 2 cents on the whole situation with theme decks. That's something I hope that they do in the future. I don't know if like exclusive cards to the theme decks would be an idea to do, but that'd just be something really like neat and interesting to see. But hopefully like in the future they up their theme deck game, because I feel like it's really lacking. But anyway, I want to say thank you guys so much for enjoying the video. I'm going to try my best to get my mic situation worked out so I can start doing Pokemon TCG Online content again, because I've already got so many videos already recorded. I just need to go over them with some commentary. Yeah, so hopefully that's going to happen soon. I don't know. But anyway, I want to say thank you guys again for watching. Hope you guys had a great new year. Take care. I love you. And this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out.